don't know nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend and now. Pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my sword in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on your house shot. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens who be steady learning.
God, first and foremost, would like to give all praises to the Most High God. His name is Yahweh, God of children of Israel, creator of heaven and earth and all the things that are within it. The Most High God, where we give all reverence, glory, praise, diligence, the only God that we worship and that we acknowledge. And we do acknowledge that there are a lot of false gods out here, right? A lot of false gods in these streets. But hey, there's only one Most High God, and the Most High God has been stirring up the spirits on the earth, stirring up a lot of calamity. Hey, getting us prepared for the end. We are in the beginning of the end times. And a part of that is, being conversant in prophecies, right? Being conversant in prophecies. Let me get this real quick. In the book of Sirach, right? It's the book of Sirach. Let me get chapter 39 and verse 1, right? 1 second. In these end times, you got to be conversant in prophecies. It says, Sirach 39 and 1, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients and be occupied in prophecy. So when you give your mind, which is your spirit, over to this truth, it consumes your mind. It should be consuming your mind where everything you do, you should be meditating on the prophecies. You should be watching of the things that are taking place, and you should be preparing, being circumspect, trimming the fat. You got to think about when we get ready for the sacrifice, they got to trim off the fat. The choice parts of the meat were only acceptable for the sacrifice. And so you should be trimming off the fat. You should be examining yourself. Brothers should be examining themselves. Sisters should be examining themselves in the spirit. Children should be examining themselves, and we should be waxing mightier and not weaker in this thing, right? As we see in all manner of hell breaking loose. So tonight we're going to get in Revelation 17, Mystery Babylon and the Scarlet Beast. This is an in-depth breakdown to really understand what's going on, right? And to see that in the scriptures, it talks about America as the great 304, as the great whore. Esau, being America, right, is the red kingdom. The kingdom talk about when it talks about Scarlet and things of that nature, and how that ties into certain geopolitical pacts, certain prophecies being manifested right now through war and through certain strategic moves. A matter of fact, even in terms of, we're not going to go into this, well, we might through the spirit, going into Arabia and the dragons of Arabia stirring up, right, and coming together to make a collective, on the as a response to what Iran has done. You got to understand, Iran are the ancient Persians. All right, in like 1935, I believe, Persia changed its name to Iran. Let's fact check that right quick. I think it was in 1935. Let me see, 1935, Persia to Iran. I believe it was in 1935. The Shah Pahlavi officially requested that the international community use the endonym Iran instead of the exonym Persia in formal correspondences. So we see Iran's name was changed to Persia. So we're going to get to all of these things through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Try to touch on as much as possible, right? So Now, it's not a mystery to us, the children of Israel, what is going on, because the Most High has made a lot of these things known to us. As it says, the secret things are given unto us, the children, right? But all of the breakdowns, the deep parables, the dark sayings, the other nations, they don't have an understanding of it. Your Christian church and your Christian pastor, even if he is an Israelite by lineage, if he's not moving through the Holy Spirit and the truth of the Bible, he's not going to know what the hell is going on, straight up and down. And you women pastors, and you need to sit down, because the scriptures say, silence with all subjection and not usurp authority over men. That's the Bible. If you don't like it, don't get mad at me. That's what the Bible teaches, right? So, getting into it, the secret things belong unto us. Colossians 1:26. Even the mystery, and I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger, y'all. Even the mystery which have been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints. And according to Psalms 50:5, you know, the saints are those who he have made a covenant through sacrifice by blood. All right, we can get Exodus 24 and so forth and so on. We are the saints. Psalm 149, 19 and 20, so forth and so on, right? Where we, being the children of Israel, only he has known us, he showed his word unto Jacob, Psalms 147, Slacket, and his statutes and judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. So as you see all of these things happening on the earth, you have to be able to go in, take the meat off the bone, to recognize through the spirit and align them with prophecy, and start to prepare yourself for the beginning of the end, right? And to wax mightier day by day. And so your mind can be in the right place, so you're not caught unaware when the Most High sent his son back like a thief in the night, right? Deuteronomy 29 and 29. The secret things belong unto Yahweh, our God, or our power. But those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So if you know, and if you understand as an Israelite, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of indigenous descent, primarily on the Western hemisphere, right? We know that on the Eastern hemisphere, throughout Africa, throughout Asia, throughout certain parts, throughout all of the world, we're spread to the four corners of the world, right? But for the most part, when we think about these secrets, you know, our forefathers knew a lot of things. Our forefathers were in the spirit. They knew the prophecies. They knew the messianic ages that had to come. Well, I will say ages, because we know Yahweh, who the world calls Christ, was on the scene once. He died, was buried, was resurrected again, and he will be coming back again, right? So when we see these secrets and these signs, right, in the book of Second Esdras, I believe the 13th chapter, the 15th chapter, the 7th and 8th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, you know, there's all of these different signs that are talked about what would be the end. As we know, Jacob, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So now as we look at what's going on, we see these secrets are being uncovered. 1 Corinthians 4:1. Let a man so account for us as the ministers of Yahweh and stewards of the mysteries of God. Right? We know in the book of Daniel, it says in latter times, knowledge shall be increased. So as the knowledge is being increased through the Holy Spirit, moving upon the children of Israel, the Most High has given us understandings to break down these prophecies, to know the secret things. You follow me? When you go into your church, you know, the pastor is damn telling you that Revelations is all just allegory. Well, you know, it's all allegory. It's all symbolic. It's all just, you know, damn near like it's mysticism. Well, we here to debunk that. Some things are allegory. Some things are literal. Some things are parabolic. But all of it is spiritual. That's why in the book of John, it says these words, you know, that I speak are spirit and they are life, paraphrasing, right? And all throughout the scriptures, right? The word is spiritual. So these things are spiritually discerned. And the more that you're keeping commandments, the more that the Most High God, Yahweh, will reveal these truths and will reveal the true understanding. Think about it. Yahweh reveals his mysteries to his people on his time, right? There's certain times that that's why it says in the book of Daniel, let me get this real quick. It says, shut up the book, right? Oh, Daniel. Until a certain time, right? So in the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 4, it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So let's break this down contextually. So Daniel was even commanded that certain mysteries, certain understandings will be shut up for a time, right? There wouldn't be like it said, it would be a time where the children of Israel would dwell without an O.F.I, right? Without a teraphim, right? Let me get this real quick in the book of Hosea, right? Let me get this Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king and without a prince and without a sacrifice and without an image and without an O.F.I and without a teraphim. So this is going into that there's certain times that have been set up by Shem HaMashiach, woman like Yahushua, in the time of Yahweh, where he has withheld certain understandings, right? Now is the time of the pouring out of the Holy Spirit. And, you know, as brothers, and they say this without understanding, they say, well, you know what? We entering into the age of the Aquarius. No, this is not the age of the pouring out of the consciousness. No, it's not that. It's the age that the Most High God is revealing the secrets and the mysteries that have been withheld for and stored up into such a time, so that those who have been called according to his purpose, who have been predestinated, the Most High is rising our spirits up, right? Is raising our spirits up. And that's why it says, even to the time of the end. Now that we're in these end times, the Most High is opening these understandings, these deep, dark mysteries, right? I'm gonna get this another precept right quick. When it says that Judah is a old lion, or who would rouse him up, right? So that even goes in this Genesis 49, where it says Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art going up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as a old lion, who shall rouse him up? Where the Most High God is raising up that spirit of Judah. And we know Revelations 5 and 5. I'm going to get this real quick. Revelations 5 and 5, right? It says, I'm not sure what that is. That's not what I'm trying to pull up. Let me see. Revelations 5 and 5 in the KJV goes into, and one of the elders saith unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. So we know that the Most High God, just how he says, the tent of Judah shall awaken first, right? And we see this is going down right now, Zechariah 12 and 7, right? The Most High God explicitly said, Zechariah 12 and 7, the Lord Yahweh also shall save the tents of Judah first, right? Judah being the primary tribe, being the tribe that Yahushua, it said the scepter shall not depart from Judah. So the Most High God has been rising up the 12 tribes by rising up the spirit of the so-called African Americans, the so-called blacks, primarily who are the tribe of Judah. And the word is going out through the spirit and is rousing up the other 12 tribes to come back to serving Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, and to hearken and to be watchful. So all of these things are going on in a culmination of wars, right? Oppression. You see ICE, you see certain geopolitical pacts going on, right? You see all different types of things, economic warfare going on. You know, you got America overthrew what is his name, Maduro, right, in Venezuela. You have certain military coups going on in different places. You see what's obviously going on in the Middle East, right? You see all of these civil unrest going on. You know, people trying, even in America, you got different states and senators are even being overthrown. Protests, a lot of different things are on the rise, right? So we got to realize that all of these things are prophetic to what's going on in the world. So these mysteries, as we get into this Revelation, the 17th chapter, we're going to uncover some mysteries, and most high willing, it stirs up brothers and sisters' spirits. My spirit has been stirred up lately through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And most high willing, it will encourage you to get right with Yahweh, and also to be able to take off them blinders, right? Let me get this quick preset, right? To get that eye salve, right? That eye salve that you can see, all right? Let's get Revelations 3:18 says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire. When you think about gold tried in the fire, is being purified. All of the base metals, all of the dross, all of the alloys and the base metals, you know, your silver, your aluminum, all of those things have been burnt off. So you have a finer piece of precious metals, that thou mayest be rich in white raiment, that rich in spirit, rich in understanding, that you may be rich in the prophecies, that you may be rich in the promises, right? Now, it may be that you may be physically rich, right? But even in those physical riches, of utilizing them to further the ministry, not to further the affliction, right? And white raiment, that white goes into, you know, being pure, be abstaining from the pleasures and the wickedness of the world, these temptations, the social, the status quo of the world, of Babylon, right? Of Babylon, the whore, all right? That thou mayest be clothed, not caught naked. You got to think about in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve, right, appeared naked before Yahweh, it didn't mean that they was damn naked and they had to Eve had to damn cover her breast, and Adam had to put a leaf over his you know, his pride. It's not going into that. It's going into they were naked before Yahweh because they were in sin, right? They were exposed. They were out. Their iniquity was out in the open, right? Doesn't it say? I'm gonna get this quick precept right quick through the spirit. Doesn't it say in the book of Sirach that the Most High's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, right? Let's get this, Sirach 23:19, and it reads, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not, by Shem Yahushai, that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. So whatever you're doing in private, the Most High God knows. So when we go back to this Revelations 3:18, and it talks about and that thou mayest be clothed, it's saying clothed with righteousness, right? That your sins and things, right, are covered over and suppressed through the righteous spirit and power Yahweh Shem Shai, by obtaining your mind to the secrets, to the mystery, to the understanding that the Most High God has given us and has revealed to us through the blood and sacrifice of the Mashiach Womalak Yahushai, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. Now, why would you be shameful if you're naked? You'll be shameful if you're naked because ultimately that's going into you being in sin, right? And anoint thy eyes with eye salve that thou mayest see. And that's what we want. We want to have that eye salve by Shema Mashiach Womalak Yahushai, that we may actually see, that we may actually understand what's going on, and that we will not be taken advantage of and deceived by the doctrines of the beast, by the system of the beast. And that's what we ultimately are getting into by Shem Yahushua tonight. So Revelation 17:1. And there came one of these 7 angels, which has 7 vials, and talked with me. Right? This is John, the Revelator, saying unto me, come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgments of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. I'm here to tell you, spoiler alert, this great whore and the judgment of this great whore is America. All right? America has been you know what? I don't agree with the doctrine of Islam at all, right? I think Islam is an amazing religion for Arabs. The Most High gave them that God to serve, right? Which we know is nothing, right? But for the children of Israel, Islam is the terrible, worstest religion that you could be in as an Israelite, because that's not your heritage. You're serving in vanity. You're serving in idolatry, right? However, I will say this. There's one thing that Farrakhan said that I really respected. He told Wallace, he said, Wallace, you're in no moral position. America's in no moral position to judge anybody. You know, who the hell are you, Trump and these people, to tell Iran that they can't have nukes? You got nukes. Damn, all your allies got nukes, but they can't have nukes. These are the things you got to think about, right? America are the biggest hypocrites. And this is the same nation that put us in captivity. Never forget that. The same nation which, according to their constitution, you're still 3/5 of a human. You're not even a whole person. And they try to spin that and say, well, that was because when slavery, after the emancipation, the South has so many slaves that if the slaves were considered one human, then the vote and democracy would be off kiltered, and the North would not have as much votes. So in the South, the black people, the African Americans, the Negroes were only considered 3/5 of a human. Man, that's bullshit. No matter how they slice it, they still consider you to this day 3/5 of a human. All right? But nobody wants to talk about these things. All right? Straight up and down. So look, I'm not going to get too hype on them. All right? I got to calm down. Calm down. Because sometimes it get a little bit overwhelming, family. For real, to think like, man, you know what? I want to get this quick precept in the book of Tobit. Matter of fact, you got to think many of our forefathers and foremothers, right, hoped to see the downfall of America, all right, and of our enemies, all right, and of our enemies. I'm going to get this real quick in the book of Tobit, right? Bear with me. Where Tobit wanted to see the downfall of Nineveh. And you got to have that spirit, all right? You got to have that spirit of Tobit, all right? 1 second. Let me find this exact verse. I think it's Tobit 14. Bam, it's Tobit 14. So Tobit 14 and 15. I'm going to get it in the KJV. This is the spirit that we should be moving through, right? You can't be pro-God and pro-America. Let that sink in. You can't be well, let me say it this correctly. You cannot be pro-Yahweh and pro-America. You can't be it. I don't give a damn if you're an American citizen. You say, well, we live in America, and yeah, I'm American by citizenship, but I'm Israelite by nationality, which means that my allegiance is not to the flag of my oppressors. My allegiance is to my God and my nation by birthright. So you cannot serve the God of Israel and serve America in their agenda. They're diametrically, I think that's the word I'm looking for. Let me see this real quick. I'm gonna get this Tobit. Let me see. Diametrically opposed. I think that's what it is. Yeah, diametrically opposed describes two ideas, people, or positions that are completely directly and fundamentally opposite to each other with no common ground. There's no common ground here in America, right? You can't serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and serve the agenda of America. You cannot love, what does the scripture say? You cannot love or serve two masters. You'll either hate one and love the other one, or draw nigh into one and distance yourself from the other one. So you can't love them both, right? So if we go back to Tobit, the reason why I brought this up is Tobit 14 and 15. I actually want to read up. Let me read up real quick. I actually want to start 14 and probably like 12, right? Now peep this, y'all. Bam. Tobit 14 and 12. And when Anna, his mother, was dead, he buried her with his father. But Tobias departed with his wife and children to Ecbatana, to Raguel, his father-in-law. Now, Ecbatana was a city, I believe it was like the winter. I kind of get, I know Susa, which is Sushan, the palace. I believe that was the summer palace of the Persian Empire. And I believe Ecbatana was where the winter palace was. But nevertheless, these are the Persian and so forth and so on, right? Now, when you go into, I'm going to read on. Wherefore he became old with honor. And this is how we want to be, y'all. We want to be old with honor, because the scriptures teach us that it's not the hoary hair of the hoary gray head that brings honor and wisdom, but it's an unsullied spirit, right? By keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And we see that even with I believe in the book of the Wisdom of Solomon, when it goes into talking about Enoch and how Enoch was translated, but Enoch also was he obtained the age of righteousness, not based on physical years, but based on spiritual integrity, right? And obedience by Shema Mashach, woman like Yahushua. So where he became old with honor, and this goes back to that Revelations 3 and 18, when we talk about having our garments white, right? About having that white raiment, about not being naked before the Most High. And he inherited their substance and of his father's Tobit. Now peep this. And he died in Ecbatana in Medea, being 107 and 20 years old. So Tobit was 127 years old. Now peep this. But before he died, he heard of the destruction of Nineveh, which was taken by Nebuchadnezzar, that's the king of Babylon, and Azaris. And before his death, he rejoiced over Nineveh. Tobit was in a spirit where he rejoiced. He rejoiced to see the fall of the nations that have oppressed his people. And this is what we're rejoicing in. Tobit lived in Nineveh. Tobit lived in Ecbatana. Tobit lived in the Medo-Persian Empire. But Tobit never got it twisted that these was not his people, and that the nation in which he dwelled in with his citizenship did not determine his allegiance. His allegiance, his alliance, his focus, his determination, his submission, his commitment, his loyalty was to his nation, right? And because of that, that was also why the scriptures say in the book of Proverbs, train up a child in the way that he should go, but and when he's older, he shall not depart. Paraphrase, because Tobit trained up Tobias in righteousness, so his mind was in the right place. We know the mind, right, is deceitfully wicked. Who can know it? Unless the Most High God sends you the Holy Spirit of discipline, which then brings every thought into the captivity and obedience of a Mashiach woman like Yahushai, and from there, then you can move in the right spirit to not be deceived by your oppressors on some Stockholm Syndrome type stuff, where now you're bought into their agenda. Now, peep game, y'all. I say all that to say this. America is not for you if you're an Israelite. Does that mean, or are we saying that we're not promoting go out and kill nobody, unalive nobody? We're not promoting go out and harm nobody. But what we are promoting is love among the children of Israel. And that starts by loving Yahweh, having faith in Yahweh Shai. Following the laws is more than 10 commandments, y'all, right? Not being a damn sodomite and in the dykeism, homosexuality, pedophilia, none of these PDFs, none of this stuff. But coming back to your heritage, right? Because if not, you will be judged. And a precept just came to mind, right? You will be judged with America, right? Doesn't it say, though the wicked join hand in hand, right? Here we go. Proverbs 11:21. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So you don't want to be joined in hand in hand goes to being aligned with their agenda, being a part of their philosophies, taking on the mindset of your oppressors, right? Not focusing on the time that's at hand, not getting your house in order, right? Husbands who got wives, get your house in order. You got to prepare your family for if you don't make it. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that, right? It's no secret that oppression is going out, right? We see what's going on with ICE. You might be a brother in the truth, and you might not make it. You might be a martyr. The Most High may have it where you are set apart to be murdered for the truth. And you got to instill in your wife or wives, your child or your children, right? You got to instill in your household that if you're taken out, they still have to be 10 toes down. Keep the commandments, keep the faith, keep the patient, keep enduring. These are things as a man, you got to reason in your mind. And you got to pray and ask the Most High God through his mercy, through his wisdom, and through his direction to guide you, that you don't give your mind over to heaviness and you don't falter under the pressure of what could be your lot, right? And so these are the things that weigh on a man. And so when it says hand joined into hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, you don't want to be caught out here, right? Joined unto them. I'm gonna get one more precept as well, and being thrust through, right? And being thrust through, right? I'm gonna get this. Isaiah 13:15 says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So this Isaiah 13:15 and this Proverbs 11:21 are going into, you don't want to be joined onto your oppressors. You don't want to be in a situation where you're giving your mind so much over to wanting to make it in a society. And look, I get it, y'all. I got businesses by Shem Yahushai. I got a little bit of motion. All praise to the Most High, but I'm not attached to that. And I pray constantly, look, Lord, don't let me get sidetracked. Sometimes I feel like I do get sidetracked, y'all. I feel like I do get sidetracked sometimes. Without understanding that the gift and the blessing is the Most High is not allowing my mind to deceive me and to pull me all the way away. And I got the Holy Spirit grabbing me and say, hey, focus back over here. So you don't want to get too caught up in the society, man. Your job, your damn 401k, your business, your hobbies, your girlfriend, right? Man, come out of all of that stuff. You know what I mean? You don't even want to get caught up too much. Now, it's a beautiful thing to be married. I got a beautiful, amazing wife, got a beautiful family, right? So it's nothing wrong with those things, but you got to have your priorities in order. And you don't want to get sidetracked away from the mission. Now, let me get back to the lesson, right? Who is she? The great whore, Babylon, America. Revelation 17:18. And the woman which thou sawest in that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. America is that top nation, y'all. America has social influence, media, music, culture. Every nation, I was over in Dubai maybe about almost 2 months ago, right? And all praise to the Most High. I was actually not expected. I, from my carnal plans, all praise to the Most High, He didn't allow my plans to reign supreme. Our damn probably could have been over there getting bombed and stuck over there. But nevertheless, when I was over there, I noticed something that was really profound in me. Everybody, it was maybe, and when I say everybody, I don't mean everybody, right? All is not all, the world is not the whole world. But I ran into a lot of people over there who were asking me questions like, "Oh, you from America? You know, we really want to get to America." And it was, and I'm like, "Damn, what you want to go to America for?" And they was looking at me like I was crazy. And they're like, "Well, you know, that's the land of the dreams. You know, if we can just get to America, it'd be such a better life." And I pondered within my spirit on this, like, dang, that's wild that so many nations are really caught up in the American dream, you know, and they're doing whatever they can do to leave their home nativity and to be sold out into the American dream. And a lot of them, when they come over here, you know, they abandon their heritage. You got the Muslim man, woman, and child, right? They who's supposed to be in Islam and serving Allah and keeping Sharia law and, you know, all of these things. They come to America. A lot of the women they hoard out. You know, they go to college and they damn whores. You know, and they lose the hijab. You know what I mean? It's a lot of, a matter of fact, I knew a lot of, and this is before I even really knew anything. This is way before the truth and before I had the understanding to even consider about like the different nations and their heritages and their cultures and things of that nature. And I knew quite a bit of people from the Middle East when I went to the University of Toledo for that short time, who were from the Emirates, and they was coming over here. And when they got in college over here, they was totally abandoning what the expectation of their culture was, and they was totally bought in to the American collegiate dream. And when their parents were back then, it wasn't a FaceTime, it was Skype. And all brothers and sisters remember when Skype used to be big, right? They was Skyping back home, and when they Skype back home, they'd have on their full traditional garb. But as soon as the Skype went out, and they smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, damn, you know, and there was Americanized, right? So America's social influence has penetrated the cultures, you know what I'm saying, from that perspective, right? Financial power. When you think about, you know, even when you think about things like the G20, all right, I'm gonna get this really quick, right? And when we think about G20 and the summit, right? So every year, I believe it's every year, there's something called the G20, the premier global forum for international economic cooperation, representing approximately 85% of global GDP, which I believe means gross domestic product, right? Yeah, gross domestic product. And 75% of international trade is governed by the G20. It focuses on macroeconomic coordinations, financial stability, and sustainable growth through its agenda. Look, through its agenda now encompasses broader issues like climate change, where they the ones messing up the climate anyway, development and technology. So keyword, agenda, right? Agenda. See that keyword? The G20 has its own agenda. Okay, well, Brother Nakamaya, what the hell does that got to do with America? Let's see who are the G20 countries. Let's see who are the G20 countries, right? Look, you got Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States, African Union, and most of the African countries is sellout, y'all. And y'all talking about y'all want to go back to Africa? Well, look, know this. Most of them damn African countries are sellouts. Now, you have certain, the Most High raised certain spirits, because the Most High put spirit on heathens too, y'all. The Most High raised a spirit of warfare too. And I got to do more research. I believe Burkina Faso, certain tribes there, I'm not saying a blanket, maybe Israelites, right? But the Most High has put certain spirits on certain African nations that are dispelling the lies and the economic ties of the European nations. Burkina Faso is one. I believe Mali is another one. And you're noticing that as these different things are happening, you're seeing certain other geopolitical ties coming in, like Russia, right? Which goes back to the Baltics, the Carmanians, I believe, and the Agog and Magog, all right? Mesech and Tigomora, right? That whole region, the Eurasian steppes. A lot of them are now bringing and putting geopolitical allies with certain African countries. And this thing is getting interesting, to say the least, how all of these different dominoes are beginning to make that domino effect. You know, it's kind of like that old school situation. You see people, it used to be this game. I'm gonna get this game real quick through the spirit. I don't know if brothers remember this game called Mousetrap, right? Mousetrap. It was an old game when I was younger, right? Look, this game right here, called Mousetrap, right? And you would kind of set up the board and things of that nature, and you would have to basically do different things. Here it is. You would have to do different things to try to trap the mouse, right? The different mice, and you would try to escape and so forth and so on. Well, the fact of the matter is that it's a mousetrap now. You know, you got different political agendas that are basically coming to a point, right? And that are influencing these various political allegiances, right? Like you got what do you call it? You got Russia as well was a heavy supporter of Gaddafi, you know, of Libya. And you know, that's why America had to go in there and do what they did, how they do what they do, right? But back to the point, a lot of these African nations, you think that you're gonna leave America as a so-called black man and go to Africa. Well, good luck with that. We don't believe in luck, but it's just a figure of speech. Hey, peace be upon you with that. Because most of these African countries is sold out to the white man too, right? And the Hamites don't like your ass. So lucky for the language, y'all. But the Hamites don't like you. The Hamites are not your friends, all right? Now the Most High can put a spirit on the heathen to show you favor, but what does it say? I'm gonna get this real quick. Never trust thine enemies, right? Let me get this in the book of Sirach. Surely is iron rusted, right? Never trust thine enemies. I'm actually get this in the Revised Standard Version. Sirach 12:10. Never trust your enemies, for like the rusting of copper, so is his wickedness. Even if he humbles himself and goes about cringing, right? And when you cringing, you got to think cringing goes in, I'm sorry, you know, in the lower state. Watch yourself and be on your guard against him. And you will be to him like one who has polished a mirror. What happens when you polish a mirror? You can see clearly the reflection. You can see what's actually going on, right? And it also goes into when it says a looking glass, that could also go into a pane of glass. A glass might be dirty, it's kind of foggy, you're kind of trying to look through that thing, you really can't see. Then you put some Windex or some the old school, what is it called? Vinegar and water on that joint, you kind of wash it off and you can see clear. So never forget, I'm gonna get this real quick, never forget who sold us to the Grecians, right? That they may remove us from our borders, right? Never forget this, all right? This Joel 3:6. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their borders. And let me read up and tell you the context, right? O Tyre and Zidon, Joel 3:4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Now, these are African nations, all right? Tyre and Zidon, in all the coast of Palestine. Now, remember this, y'all. Back in the ancient times where you had David fighting Goliath, you had the Philistines The ancient Philistines were African nations, Hamitic nations. Nowadays, that's where you get the word Palestine. Is really derived from Philistine or Philistia, right? So these modern day Palestinians, that ain't their land either. Akwak, you got to know that ain't their land either. They're all in our land, right? So you got the Israelis, or not the Israelites, that's what it's the Israelis, the Jewish man, the small hat in our land. Them wicked ass Slaki for the language, wicked Netanyahu sending bombs because he's been molested in the mind, and he's molesting the mind of the Americans. Got them thinking that they fighting a jihad. You know what I'm saying? But back to the point, y'all. Salaki, man. You get kind of excited through the spirit, right? But never trust your enemies, right? And back to reading this up real quick. Will ye render me a recompense? If ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head, right? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. You got to think, even the Philistines, they had took one point in the time the Ark of the Covenant. Think about all of the Hamitic nations, right? Even when you go into the Babylonians, right? Now, I'm not saying the Babylonians are Hamitic, but you got to think ancient Babylon and Akkad and Samaria, right? In that whole area of Mesopotamia. You know what I'm saying? You had a lot of times these ancient nations have been in league with one another, just like it says in Psalms 83, right? They have taken crafty counsel against thy hidden ones, all right? That the say, paraphrasing, let the name of Israel, that it may be no more in remembrance, all right? And it lists the nations, all right? So the point, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye may remove them far from their borders. So never forget, as you want to venture off into these African nations and set up, now we're not saying that his brothers is wrong from going out and evangelizing and calling their lost sheep for the house of Israel. But if you're moving in the mind frame that you're going to escape the judgment and the justice of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and you're going to escape Jacob's trouble by moving out of the country and going back to Africa, that's not the right spirit to be in, all right? It's not the right spirit to be in, straight up and down. So back to the G20. Peep this. Founded in 1999 to stabilize international financial systems. Now, peep this. This is a part of the crafty council as well that's talked about in Psalms 83. All of these nations getting together to stabilize the financial system when the financial system has been built on the backs of the rape, robbery, murder, colonization, pillaging of the children of Israel. There's not one nation, we read this in the book of Second Maccabees, that, or maybe First Maccabees, that have not had us in captivity, right? Now look, G20 countries, who is the chief of countries? So look, the United States holds the G20 presidency for 2026, which began on December 1st, 2025, and runs through 2026. Consequently, U.S. President Donald Trump serves as the chair of the G20 for this term. So when it goes into, you know, these geopolitical pacts and things of this nature, you got to know that America is that top nation. So when it talks about financial power, right, U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency for the IMF and the World Bank headquarters, and something else called, if you look at BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, right here. A lot of people don't know about the Bank of International Settlements, right? Look, is an international financial institution which is owned by member central banks. Its primary goal is to foster international monetary and financial cooperation while serving as a bank for central banks. So all of this economic framework, right? Even when you go into the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, you know, all of these top families, they all go back to wicked commercial activities and setting up the fractional reserve banking to keep nations in debt, to keep nations, to fund this side of the war, fund both sides, right? And all of these things are governed by an agenda that's pushed out through Bank of International Settlements, the G20, the NATO, you know, and so many of these other, you know what I'm saying, little quasi organizations, right? So back to the point, right? America, military reach, 800 plus military bases in 70 countries, more than any empire in history. Now, mind you this, every empire has lasted, I think of like 150 years is pretty much like on average when we start to see empires throughout antiquity decline. So America being that great whore that sits on many waters, what does the waters represent? Her commerce, right? Her ability to nourish all of the other nations in folly and madness and idolatry, right? And everything that America is really the Antichrist. Get this. And I'm gonna get this real quick, right? When we talk about Antichrist, I'm gonna bring this out in book 1 John, right? The book of 1 John, chapter 2 and verse 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. And America is one of these Antichrists, y'all, because they go into their court systems, into their judicial system, and they say, put on the Bible, in God we trust. But what God are they talking about? They're damn sure not talking about the God of the Bible, because everything that they do and how they move is contrary to everything that God says do. So America is the Antichrist. And you can't serve two masters, as I brought out earlier. So you can't serve America. That's why I tell people, hey, man, don't go fight in the American army. Don't do it. Right? Now, if you an Edomite, if you wanted the other, go fight in America's army. But if you so-called Black, Latino, Native American, you an Israelite, you have no business in America's army going to die for a country that hates you. Right? And you got to get this, though. What you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position to fight against Christ. Like really, like for real. For real. You're putting yourself in a position to go and fight against Yahushua and the angels, and it's not going to end good for you. You know? What you going to do when Yahushua crack the sky? And matter of fact, me and my wife was watching a movie the other night that I promise, Lord willing, I want to do I like how the elders Zabak be doing the film reviews. I want to do a film review on this movie. It was a movie called what was that movie called? My short-term memory sometimes be bugged out. Lord willing, the Most High expands my short-term memory. But War Machine. It was called War Machine. And I don't know if brothers saw it, but in this particular film, they thought an asteroid was coming in. All right, I'm not gonna spoil the film, right? But it ended up being something like a chariot. I'm just gonna say like that. And from that perspective, it's like the army was fighting against it. And it reminded me through the spirit of how it's going to be when the Most High send Yahweh shine the angels to crack the sky, right? And to come, and all of the other nations are going to think that they're aliens. You know, Hollywood, which is CIA agenda. We know that the CIA run Hollywood. That's already been brought out. That they think, right? They think that it's going to be aliens they fighting against. But they're not fighting against aliens. It's going to be Yahweh Shai and the angels. And you're going to be stuck in the U.S. Army, deployed on the front lines to fight against the Lord and Savior. How is that going to end for you? It's not going to end well for you. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to end for you. So their military reach, right? So out of all of the Edomite nations, America is the most influential, y'all. And they built this kingdom over time. We went through financial, social. Look, the United Nations is headquartered in New York City. The United Nations, the UN. Why is the UN headquartered in America? Because America is that chief. See, America is that big hoe. She the big hoe, not the little one, right? That harlot that sits on many waters. The G7, I forgot about the G7. I mentioned the G20, the economic, but the G7 as well, right? And in America, I'm gonna get this precept real quick as well, because America with her policies, frames mischief by law. That's what she does. All right. Psalms 94:20 says, shall the throne of iniquity, and iniquity is sin, the throne is the chief, the ruler of iniquity, the top seat, Satan's seat, which is Rome, is Satan's seat, which, you know, America is the daughter of Rome, Great Britain, and things of that nature. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? America frames mischief by her laws, by her sorceries, right? America frames mischief by all of the things that she does. You follow what I'm saying? All of the things that she does, she frames mischief by. She's not someone who you can put your trust in, right? Her policies and all of those things are all contrary to peace at the end of the day. The many waters, the nations, Revelation 17:15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, which the whore sitteth upon, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. So all of these waters that the whore sits on, her agenda infiltrates and what's the word I'm looking for? And mesmerizes and hypnotizes, right? By her philosophies, by her policies, her agendas, her laws. You know what I mean? This is how she brings what she calls order, but it's really chaos. Because true order is aligning your society and your social fabric with integrity based upon what the Most High God stated was the foundations of righteousness. So she has the whole damn world bewitched. And at one time, hey, I was bought into the American dream, man. I was bought into the American dream until I came into this truth. Hashem Yahushua, the water Abinau Yahweh, you know? And there's still some ways in my mind that I find myself having to fight and break, like, hell no, don't fall back into that, you know? The angel does not leave us to guess, right? The many waters are the nations. We see America is over all of the nations, right? NATO, CENTCOM. Look, a lot of people don't know about CENTCOM. Let me show y'all this real quick, right? A lot of people don't know about this. I didn't know about this either, right? Central Command, what CENTCOM stands for, United States Central Command, the Defense Forces. The United States Central Command is one of the 11 unified commands of the United States Department of Defense. It was established in 1983, taking over the previous responsibility of the Rapid Deployment Joint Task Force. So when you get into that CENTCOM, the coalition, this is how there's a lot of military bases that go out on all of the other nations and all of the other countries and things of that nature, right? So once again, and we talked about Hollywood, how it's proven that the CIA and some declassified information, I'm going to show y'all this real quick. Even the CIA funds Hollywood, right? The CIA has a long-standing documented history of engaging with Hollywood, primarily through consultation and cooperation rather than direct blanket funding. Who the hell cares? They're influencing the movie. Why do you think this TV is called programming? They programming, right? While the agency has covertly funded specific propaganda projects in the past, most notably the 1954 animated Animal Farm. Now, if you know anything about that film, Animal Farm, which I believe was based off of a book by George Orwell, it basically was pushing against the communist regime. You follow what I'm saying? The ideology of communism, all right? Its modern relationship typically focus on shaping its public image. Now, you got to take the meat off the bone. You got to read in between the lines. You got to do all of that. So what does it mean by shaping its public image? That goes in, that's agenda talk, right? Pop culture, all right? Status quo. And they're still funding movies, man. I'm led to believe most of these alien movies are funded by the CIA agenda, right? Because they want you to think a little green man is coming to attack you, and all of the other nations are going to come together in a kumbaya moment and fight against Yahweh. That's really what's going on, y'all. Straight up and down, that's really what's going on, man. That is really what's going on. All right, Salaki. Reading on. Revelation 17:2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, right? Now, when you think about fornication even goes into porneo, which we're going to get into, right? Illicit sexual acts. Now, think there's spiritual fornication as well. Idolatry, witchcraft, soothsaying, necromancy. You know what I mean? All of these things that America practices in our culture, in our business ethics, which are piss poor business ethics. You got, for Donald Trump to be considered one of the greatest businessmen tells you about the philosophy of America. It tells you what the integrity is, right? This damn heathen is treacherous, cutthroat, but they call that good. They call that shrewd business dealings in America, right? Spiritual fornication. Every nation that has accepted America's lifestyle is democracy. It's homosexuality, LBGTQFG, those ideologies that they push. They have them transsexuals that now come in the schools and read to children gay books. They have what is it called, all gender bathrooms. I was just in when I was in the airport, I believe it was in DTW a little while ago. They literally had I was in DTW. They had a male bathroom, a female bathroom, a handicap bathroom, a family bathroom, and then a damn all gender bathroom. And the sign on the all gender bathroom was like it was there. I kid you not. It was like a dress with some pants. I think it was like half of a dress and then like a half of a pants with a man. Wickedness, man. So all of these nations that buy into her lifestyle, that's what it meant about drunk off the wine with the wine of her fornication. That wine goes into doctrines, goes into philosophies, it goes into lifestyles, cultures, customs, agendas that are brought into the America agenda, right? Let's get this Revelations 18:9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. You know how many nations is making money off of America and with America? So you got these nations hate America, but they also love America. It's like old girl off of what's that movie? What's her name? Brandy. In Line, Love and Hate. I remember this movie, y'all. It actually was one of my favorite movies growing up, man. This crazy sister right here, look, she looked crazy in her eyes, right? Lynn Whitfield. Damn batshit crazy, right? So like, hey, sister was out off her damn rocker, straight up and down, right? This is America. This is how America's people are. And they love her, but they hate her. It's that thin line between love and hate. You follow what I'm saying? That real thin line between love and hate. They love America because they're waxing rich off of her resources, right? Off of her currency, her trade. But they hate her at the same time because she's a whore. Who really loves a whore? Think about it. And you might go, you know what I'm saying? This is an analogy. I'm not going to hit no whore now. I did in my past. I repented for that. All right, repented for that. But the analogy is that you might go hit a whore, but you're not trying to wife that hoe. That's how everybody look at America. America's a whore. They're looking to get the benefits of that whore spreading her legs, but they're not trying to stay and marry that whore. You follow me? They love America's sports. They love her pop culture. They love her delicacies, right? They love her fashion. They love her lifestyle, but they don't love her. They don't love her. Straight up and down, right? And so when they see America being destroyed, they're gonna bewail her. Slovakia. They're gonna think about all of the economic favoritism and the benefits that they got from being bought into her agendas. But at the same time, they're gonna look and they're gonna rejoice at the same time, though. Dude, if you got eyes to see and ears to hear, right? So also it talks about a strange woman, right? Which is a harlot. Okay, a strange woman, a harlot, the women of other nations, to go into philosophies that are contrary, diametrically opposed, like we went into before of, you know, the children of Israel and what the Most High God tells us. But America, the strange woman of Proverbs. So the Proverbs describe a strange woman, one that's opposite or contrary to the righteous way of living, who seduces men from wisdom into destruction, right? It says, hey, her feet don't stay in her house. Hey, the good man is gone on a long journey. He's taking a bag of money with him. He's taking the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, preparation, and he'll be back. But she's went and got tapestries from Egypt. Egypt represents those philosophies of the world, and she's knitted them together. She's spread them out on her bed, and she's aloed it with myrrh and cassia, myrrh and frankincense and perfume to allure those who are simple, who lead straight to death. And that's what America is, y'all, right? That's what she is to the children of Israel, because she'll get you sidetracked, right? And that hoe will get you sidetracked and you'll miss your wife. Think about that through the spirit. You out here dealing with this hoe, and you spend so much time fornicating with this damn hoe that you missing your actual righteous woman that you should have had. That's what America. You don't want to not be able to bid that marriage. You don't want to miss the marriage, because we're likened as the children of Israel as a bride, and the bridegroom is Yahweh Shai, and the marriage is salvation by Shem Yahweh Shai, that Yahweh had preordained and set up. This is an arranged marriage, but you missing out on your arranged marriage because you're sleeping with the whore, which are the doctrines of America, right? Proverbs 2:10. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee. Discretion is going to teach you. You know, it's a quote that I actually had liked from a Jay-Z verse a long time ago. He said, how to move in a room full of vultures. Hey, this culture is vulture culture. Culture vultures. The culture vulture. You know what I'm trying to say. This culture is full of vultures. And these doctrines that they're pushing will easily get you derailed if you're not moving through the spirit. And you can't be prideful. You got to pray to the Most High for the discernment. That's the spirit. For the spirit of wisdom. That's the spirit that comes with first fearing Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, right? Once you start to fear the Most High God, then the Most High God starts to put in your mind how to move in certain situation, in every situation, right? Preserve thee, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the ways of evil, from the way of evil man, Salakia, from the man that speaketh forward things. Donald Trump speak forward things. America speak forward things. What does forward go into? Perverseness. What's perverseness? Anything that's against the laws of the Most High God. What's profanity? It's saying goddamn mother. That's not profanity, right? Now, you got to be apt to teach, and using that language isn't expedient, right? In every situation. I'm not saying there's not some situations that's not expedient, but nevertheless, profane is something against the laws of God. All right? Who leaves the path of righteousness to walk in the ways of darkness. And this is what we've done as a people, y'all. We left the paths of unrighteousness, the heritage that the Most High gave us. We read about that in, what's that, Sirach 24 and 23? Let me get this real quick. I believe it's Sirach 24, 23 that I want, right? Bam, this is what I want. Let me get it in the KJV though. So Sirach 24 and 23, all these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High God, even the law which Moses commanded for an heritage unto the congregation of Jacob, of Yasha'Allah, of Israel. So peep game, when it comes to who leaveth the path of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, we left our heritage a long time ago to follow the ways of the other nations. When the Most High God told us when he made the covenant that, and he gave us the land, and he took out the 7 nations, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites or whatnot, these 7 nations that are greater than us, he spewed them out of the land for the abominations that they were doing. And then we started following back in those ways. And now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, we coming out of Babylon. We coming out of those ways of Egypt. We coming out of the ways of darkness, and we coming back into the marvelous light by getting into the precepts, by getting the understanding, by increasing our fear, by increasing our faith, by changing our diet, by changing our way of thinking through the spirit. All right. Who rejoice to do evil and delight in the forwardness and the perverseness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and they forward in their paths to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words. These doctrines. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them, right? And I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I ended up in prison that way, y'all. I was, I grew up in a good home, as you would say, right? One home in the truth. So I understand from the context of the world, a good home. We wasn't super rich or anything of that nature, but we wasn't super poor either. The Most High, all praise to the Most High. We had hard times and then we had good times. But consistently over the time, I would say that my mother worked very hard to give us a certain, all praise to the Most High by Shem Yahushai, to give us a certain condition of life, right? And I got seduced by the streets. And I ended up, hacking alarm systems and ended up, ultimately in prison. You follow what I'm saying? And it's like I got seduced by the allure of material things, by the allure of the streets, of the fast life, of that just doing something that was damn illegal at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I went off of the path of what I considered righteous at that time in terms of, just being a good person, right? According to the world standards. And so, when it says the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, everybody's not righteous. Most people are wicked, y'all. That's the fact of the matter. So we want this precept, this proverb, to be a testament of what we're striving for, to be more righteous than our neighbor. Now, in this context, though, too, we know neighbor is used in different contexts. We know, like, if you think about love thy neighbor, that context is talking about the children of thy people, fellow Israelites. But we also do see in a context like in Exodus, when it says that the children of Israel, I'm paraphrasing roughly, left Egypt and they spoiled their neighbors or borrowed gold and silver from their neighbors. We know in that context, and that word neighbor is talking about in the etymology, people who were dwelling near them, right? So we want, in both contexts, right? We want to be more excellent than the other nations. And we want to be even more excellent than those of our own nation who are turned away into lies and wickedness. Now we pray that they repent and we pray that they come back and the Most High brings them back. But we want to be more excellent and show that example and be a light even to our neighbors who are in darkness, who are of Yahshua, right? And to being a light to the other nations. You should want to be, and now we know that there's eschatology and prophecy, and there comes a time where that's going to be the main focus. That's not the main focus now. Our main focus is be a light to our people, be a light to our households, and to come back into the oath that we've taken back in Exodus 24 when we said all of these things that you say when Moses took the blood and half of the blood and put it in the basins and sprinkled it on the altar or whatnot, sprinkled the rest on the children of Israel. That's a blood covenant. We want to get back to that, right? Where we're walking in that mind frame, but we also know you want to be a light everywhere you go. Hey, the other nations should look at you and say, damn. Just like in Deuteronomy, it says they should look at you. I believe that's Deuteronomy. Is that 4 and 6 or 6 and 4, right? Sometimes I'm dyslexic in the precepts, but nevertheless, that the other nations should look at me like, dang, that's a wise and understanding people. What nation is better than them children of Israel? The other nations should look at us and think that, right? But because we should be being that light, our standard should be so high that they can't even deal with us. They can't even catch up to us, right? But the curses, and because we brought into this whore, you know, who's going to be judged, right? So to seduce, the definition, to persuade, to disobedience or disloyalty, to lead astray, usually by persuasion of false promises. And a lot of seduction has to go, like a lot of, when you hear the word seduction, it's normally in the framework of sexual connotation, right? You've been seduced based on sensual things, whether that be emotionally sensual, whether that be some type of stimulation of your desires, right? And this is what Babylon, the whore, has damn near perfected, you know, getting you caught up in your desires and your sensual pleasures, and then making it accessible, you know, for the things that you want to do to fulfill those wicked ways. You know what I mean? So when we look in Sirach 19:1-3, a laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. So if somebody's damn drunk all the time, how can he get to richness? How can he get to success? He's always damn drunk. He's not even in his right mind. And if you contemn small things, you should fall little by little. The smallest things start to add up. It's kind of like a car. You know, getting the oil change is not a big thing. But if you constantly don't get an oil change, next thing you know, the sludge builds up in your engine, the pistons, your spark plugs ain't firing right, you know, and next thing you know, your engine's blown. But it all started because you didn't properly maintain and service your vehicle. So that means contemning small things shall fall little by little. You know, you keep going, adding sin unto sin unto sin unto sin, and next thing you know, you destroy it, man. Wine and women will make men of understanding to fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots, which is a whore, America, will become impudent. I'm going to get this impudent, y'all. This is important. Impudent, not showing due respect for another person's impertinence, right? Insolent, cheeky, audacious, brazen, right? He could have strangled this impudent upstart. But you don't want to be impudent, man. Moss and worm shall have him to heritage, and a bold man shall be taken away. And this bold, this isn't talking about being bold in righteousness. This is talking about pride, right? This is talking about not being humble. You know what I mean? Being bold, being stuck in your own conceit, wise in your own conceit, right? And moss and worm shall have him to heritage. This goes into death, destruction. Think about what a moth does. A moth eats away at fabric, right? So a moth is through the scriptures is parabolic sometimes of deterioration. And think about worms. When do you inherit worms? In death, right? Creeping and crawling things a man should inherit, right? So this is going into, once again, that whore. Sirach 25 and 21. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire not her for pleasure. And these are good practical things too for my brothers listening as well. Like, you know, the Most High has made a lot of beautiful women, right? A lot of beautiful women. You don't want to be caught up in just damn staring at the women, and because it's a couple of things. Number one, have some self-control about yourself, brother. Have some self-control about yourself. You know, yeah, sometimes it's difficult, but have self-control. Think about the spirit. Move with your spiritual head, not with the one down there. All right. Second thing, that could be somebody's wife, man. That literally, it could be a brother's wife, or not even a brother's wife. It could be a wife of somebody else of the other nations too, though. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who's who. Every woman you see, you don't know if she's an Israelite or not. You're not going up to every woman. Hey sis, who's your daddy? Who's your father? Who's your daddy? That sounded crazy. Who's your father? She's so-called. You're not doing that to everybody, you know? So it might be somebody of the other nations, and it might be somebody's wife. So you don't want to be doing that, and then you don't want to be undressing her with your eyes either. You know, you kind of checking her out. And look, hey, it's a lot of beautiful shapes. And hey, we men, we understand it. But you got to control your mind, huh? You got to control your eyes. You got to control your spirit. You got to put those desires in check and ask the Most High for wisdom. But this also is parabolic and it's twofold. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, when we just went in that Proverbs, is going into also the woman being the context of bringing it back to that whore, who's the daughter of Babylon. So it's saying, hey, it seems beautiful, all of the things that Babylon offers, if you're putting her in the parabolic state of a woman, right? You know, her delicacies, right, which goes into her food, her culture, you know what I mean, her pastimes. There's a lot of things that go from America that can allure you to get off track. So that's what this is also going into, through the spirit, right? Man, Sirach 26 and 12. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit, and open her quiver against every arrow. She's a whore, man. And she throwing that thing back and forward and side and whatever to anybody who want to hit it. And that's how America is. Anybody who wants to fornicate with her in her policies and her economics and her warfare, and she's going to get down with them, you know? And she's going to allure them into her whoredoms. And that's ultimately why all the other nations are going to be brought into this Valley of Jehoshaphat, because they're going to be brought into defending America, right? We know that they're going to fight with America, but then ultimately all of them are going to unite, and they're going to come and fight against the men of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, and the children of Israel and the angels, right? So spiritual fornication, Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. So America is big on idolatry. You know, even if you go into, I'm going to get this real quick. If you go into, what is it called? The mall, is it called the Washington Mall, I think? Yeah, Washington Mall. What do you notice here? You notice the obelisk. Okay, why the hell do they have an obelisk in America? Idolatry, y'all. That's why I said that this is paraphrasing Babylon, Sodom and Egypt, right? Because America is same philosophies and idolatry as ancient Egypt, place of our captivity, all this homosexuality, sodomy, right? America is big on idolatry. You know, this and this is not only idolatrous, it's also very homosexual too. Because the obelisk represents the heart, the phallus, the heart penis. That's what this is a representation of. So when y'all going up in this obelisk and all of this is what you're going up into. And this represents what they call the Osirian resurrection, which goes into Horus, Isis, Osiris, and Set, where they literally said that in the coffin text, they cut off his penis and all of this stuff and spread it around in different places, and then they had to put it back together and make it hard to like off. So really, no, America's idolatrous as hell, man. Idolatrous as hell is America, y'all. So that's what all of these things are going into in terms of the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. And America has been in a spiritual, commit spiritual fornication since the beginning. 1 Corinthians 6 and 16 through 17. What? Know ye not? He which is joined to an harlot is one body. For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. So we want to move to that one spirit of a Mashiach woman like Yahushai, and we want to be able to put the body in check, right? The carnal nature of men. You follow what I'm saying? What does the scripture say? I want to get this quick precept. Walk in the spirit, and you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh, right? Let me do this real quick in the book of Galatians. Book of Galatians 5 and 16. This I say then, walk in the spirit. How do you walk in the spirit? These words that we speak, their spirit in their life. Meditating on the words allows you to walk in the spirit, and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, right? All praise Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So, a couple of things. If you guys ever heard of the word porn, obviously, right? Porne is G4204, which is this transliteration when you go into that fornication as well. A prostitute, a harlot, a whore. The root of pornography in Revelation used metaphorically for a system or nation that sells itself to all nations spiritually through false doctrine, idolatry, and ultimately rebellion against Yahweh. And mysterion, right, is the definition of a mystery, a secret hidden from some and revealed to others. In the New Testament, the mysteries of the kingdom, Matthew 13:11, are divine truths revealed to the elect, Yasha'Allah, hidden from the world, but open to Yahweh's saints. With that, we want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High, Yahweh. We do so by Shem HaMashiach, woman like Yahushai. Passover coming up, y'all. The Feast of the Unleavened Bread. Get your spirit right. Remove the spiritual leaven. Start removing the leaven from your household. Start eating up that leaven. Time is going fast, right? The new Hebrew New Year coming up as well. So let's stay in the spirit. Let's fast. Let's pray. And pray for me, my congregation. Pray for our households. We'll pray for y'all. Praying for all of Israel, all of the saints. Call out Yahweh Shem HaMashiach, woman like Yahushai, to the 12 tribes that scattered abroad. Greetings. Kwam Yashab.